Hey friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com, and I just have Sebastian Rogers on my mind again. Now, I have done 2 previous readings on Sebastian, which have gotten us nowhere. I'll put the links below if you want to peruse them. The first video I did, the first reading I did on Sebastian indicated there were no parental units involved in that reading. And I took it to mean that the parents were not responsible for what happened to Sebastian. The second reading, which the first reading is contrary to what the court of popular opinion thinks. You know, most people believe that the parents had something, or the mother and the adoptive father had something to do with his disappearance, or they know more than they're letting on. But there was no indication of that. There was no indication of foul play regarding the parents. So I don't know what to make of that. The second reading I did, which was about 2 or 3 weeks later, and I had an urgency that day when I did the reading. I felt like I had to do it immediately. And that showed a change, or it showed a change of fortune, or a very upbeat, positive, optimistic turn of events. You know, I mean, the Nine of Cups was in that one. The Wheel of Fortune was in that one. The World card was in that one. The Chariot card of progress, moving forward with things in that context. But I wonder if that was the momentary hope we had when the photograph of the young man in North Carolina surfaced. I wonder if that was reflective of the optimism that was coming. There certainly was optimism that came, sometime after that reading. But it wasn't authentic. That occurrence of the young man, that was found, that the photograph of the youngster who was found in North Carolina, it turned out not being Sebastian, and it's proof that it wasn't Sebastian. So now we're back to not having any clues and not knowing what happened to Sebastian. So I'm just going to turn the camera, lay the cards after I do my thing, and I'm going to lay 3 cards rather than my full layout, because I think at this stage we don't want a story. We just want some facts. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, again, when I go into my meditative place, I ask the universe what we need to know regarding what happened to Sebastian Rogers. And that I'm only going to lay 3 cards plus the quint, if I need the quint. 10 of Cups, in the context of the question, could mean an over-emotional situation. Wow. 9 of Batons. Batons and cups are at odds with one another. One is fire and one is water, and they're almost in equal measure. So there's a conflict, a strong emotional conflict. Wow, look at this. All these high-ranking cards. And this would suggest aggression. Wow. Dang. Wow. Okay, so let's add these up, because I think I definitely need a quint card. I think I definitely need a triumph card to help make sense of this. So we have 10 and 2 9s, which would be 18. 18 and 10 would be 28. Right? I want to make sure I'm not making a mistake. 10 and 9 is 19. 19 and 9 is 28. 28 minus 22 is 6. 28 minus 22 is 6, so that would be the Lovers card. So who were the lovers? The lovers are... Would the lovers be the parental unit that is together? Now, this is the first time that my cards are indicating or suggesting that any of the parental units were involved. But I asked the universe what we need to know. What is in our business to know? What it's our business to know, to help clarify and, make sense and bring justice for Sebastian. Wow. So now, unless this lover card suggests another pair, the lover card can mean a romantic pair. It could just mean a bond, right? A bond between people. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic pair, but in the context of the question, how many bonds were there? There were bonds between mother and stepfather. There were bonds between mother and son. Here we have a young man. If we look at, since this is a TDM deck, if we look at it through the eyes of a TDM deck, we might see a young man trying to make a choice between two women or two concepts. Maybe the young man is trying to make a decision about what's best for him. But it can also mean that there is a unit that is ultimately responsible for what happened. But, tensions are really high. We have, when we see the 10, when I see the 10 of Cups, it depends on the context of the question, but 10 is a number that means it's so finished, we got to put a fork in it. And it had escalated. There had been an emotional escalation. We have 2 9s here, and batons and swords can be seen as aggressive suits because they can be seen as weapons. And the batons is right next to the cup, which, they're at odds with one another. Elemental dignities suggest, that these 2 cards aren't bringing out the best interpretation for either of these cards. And then it's sealed with the 9 of Swords, which even without the 9 of Batons, if it was these 2 cards together, I would still see an aggravating situation of the heart. Wow. So there we have that. I'm still not getting solid answers, but there is an escalation of emotion. There is probably some physical aspects, and there's either a choice that somebody made, in a panic. Maybe it was a choice that somebody made in a panic. Or it could be referencing a parental unit, who are the lovers. Or it could mean that Sebastian himself was making a choice about doing something, But it doesn't seem as though whatever this card represents, which is needed to support or to clarify here, it just definitely was just not a good thing happening. There was just not good feeling, just not good feeling. And whether, a choice was made in a panic. Okay, let's go with a couple of the options to clarify. Let's go with this one first. Was there a choice that was made in a panic? Because these cards could look like a panic. So was a decision made in a panic? Let me go off camera and shuffle the cards. I'll be right back. Okay, I asked the universe to clarify what that last read might have meant. I mean, the Lover's card could have meant a few things, and I don't want to assume I know. So we're going with this reading. I'm going with, am I to understand? And I'll need some cards to affirm. Was a decision made in a panic? Whoa. Wow. Okay. Dang. Sugar. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we have 6 and 5 is 11. And 11 would be the Fortitude card. So let me, for those of you who are wondering what this deck is, I've used it a number of times. It's the Golden Tarot of Marseille. It is not an accurate Marseille, although it is based on the Burdell, but it is not an accurate because obviously no TDM deck would ever have had gold bling. I just use it because I like the gold bling, and that's why I use it. And I like the Burdell. I like Swiss decks. So I must have passed it without paying attention because I don't see. Oh, is that it? No, that's Temperance. I don't see Fortitude. So I'm going to have to go off camera to find. Oh, there she is. Okay. Okay, so the previous reading suggested emotional duress, and that was supported by the batons and the swords of equal measure. And then the Lover card was the Quint card. Okay. Now this time I asked, was a decision made in a panic? So the Lover card appearing again to answer that question kind of validates that maybe a decision was made in a panic, because it would reinforce, if I interpreted this card in this position as a choice made in a panic, and I ask, was that a correct thing? The appearance again would suggest that yes, it was a decision made in a panic. 5 of Cups, and 5 is an unstable number. Some people see 5 as the unlucky number in a spread of cards. It is a very human number, which includes, human foibles and frailties. So it could have been human misjudgment in thinking. And maybe it was a gentleman's idea. Now, Fortitude. Okay, now Fortitude could suggest coerce, in the context of the question, it could suggest coercement, like somebody was coerced. When the Fortitude card pops up, it's some, it can sometimes suggest, well, you'll find out what you're made of, hang in there, have integrity and see a situation through. But in the context of this question, if a decision was made in a panic, with unstable emotional situation, and if a gentleman or if a man was responsible for the decision, perhaps he made it, maybe there was some kind of coercion or some kind of, I don't want to say bullying, because then that's putting in my 2 cents or my feeling, and I don't want to put that there, but it could be that there was coercion on the part of a male in a unstable emotional situation. That the decision was made in a panic. Yeah, I think a decision was made in a panic. So I don't know. Let me flip the camera. So, a decision made in a panic. Well, if we look back at the first reading I did, where it said that, the parents didn't, weren't involved there were no parentals involved, I mean, that could be suggestive that there was no ill intent. I mean, so maybe something happened accidentally, Um, for example, if Sebastian was abducted at the curb, let's say in an example, we know he took the garbage out. We know that bloodhounds traced his scent to the curb, and then that was the end of it, I think. And again, I don't know, beyond the curb. So if he took the garbage out and the scent ended at the curb, maybe the mother has inward guilt in her mind because she never checked to see if he came back to the house. She just, maybe like that kind of thing where it wasn't intentional on her part, but that she is culpable because he disappeared on her watch, So maybe something like that happened, or that she wasn't maliciously responsible, but that something happened, and in a panic they made a decision to behave in a certain way, and maybe the decision was put upon her by a male who influenced her, coerced her in some way. I'm wondering if that makes sense. It's been now going on 80 days. It's 70 some days. The first reading I did was like after a month, I think. The second reading was after 40 days or 40 some days. And now we're into 70 some days. I'm trying not to do too many readings because I want to have some time to breathe, between them, because circumstances change. A reading will tell you things at the moment at where they stand, but circumstances change all the time. And based on current reality is how I, see the cards. It's like based on current reality of a situation, what is happening. But, circumstances change all the time, and we can't control what somebody else does, in a situation. We can only control how we handle a situation or how we see things, But I'm wondering if these cards make the most sense of all the ones we had. Because the second reading was that there was a change of fortune or a change of luck. It was definitely a very optimistic trend in the cards, but in hindsight now, I'm wondering if that trend was just the hopefulness of having of having thought that there was a chance that, Sebastian was found or seen on film, because that definitely had us all hoping, for at least a week until it was false. Anyway, I'll probably do another reading on this topic in another month, because I like to space things out, because things have to fall into place, or another couple of weeks at least. But hopefully this sheds some light in giving us some direction. Until next time, friends, peace, stay well, be kind, do no harm, and please say some prayers for Sebastian, that this young man is found. Amen.